You're watching News 3 Now, live at 4, moving forward.
Good afternoon and welcome to Live at 4. We begin with developing news.
3 people are in the Rock County Jail in relation to the deadly shooting of a teenage girl in Evansville on Sunday. The Rock County Sheriff's Department says Hunter Drefall and Alyssa Ahrens are facing charges for contributing to the delinquency of a minor resulting in death and multiple sex crimes against a child. William Drefall is in jail on a probation violation, but the sheriff says all 3 are connected to the girl's death.
A family member has confirmed with News 3 Now the victim in Sunday's shooting was 14-year-old Florencia Henthorn. And this is a GoFundMe that you can donate to help pay for the cost of her funeral. A link to it is up on this story at channel3000.com.
Later on News 3, our Maddie Heimsch speaks to the victim's parents. You can watch her interview live on Channel 3 or with the free Channel 3000 mobile app, where we'll also be sending out all new information about this shooting.
And let's get a look at our first warn forecast. Chief Meteorologist Alex Harrington is out on the patio. Looks like there is some sunshine out there.
Yeah, that optimistic sunshine that I said would prevail today on Tuesday. Well, it's out here and it feels pretty good out overall, but now we turn our attention to the wet stuff that we've been talking about too for days. This is the next 48 hours worth of water. We're expecting anywhere from a ½ inch, some places 3/4 of an inch of water. We'll take those raindrops as well, and in Maine weather we're going to track those showers, and we've got some wet snow also in the forecast that we'll track too. Right now it's 42 at the airport right now, 45 to the west in the Wisconsin River Valley, 45 to the north, and 43 to the south in Janesville right now. 45 on the west side of Dane County. Kind of feels like this is yesterday. Split the county in half, and then 41 and 42 on the east side of Dane County. That's about 11, 12 degrees below normal for this time of year, but we've got the sun. Again, try to impart that optimism. Going through the 40s into the 30s, clouds will be on the increase tonight, and in Maine weather, let's use Future Track together. We'll go through this next 2 days of wet weather and some wet snow in a few minutes.
Thank you, Alex. Well, this is a live look at Brittingham Park in Madison, where Meritor nurses are rallying ahead of a potential strike. It started at 1, and we expect it to go until 5. In the next half hour, Ellie LaLiberte shows us what they're demanding and where negotiations stand.
The Trump administration's Department of Government Efficiency has slashed funding for the National Endowment for the Humanities, canceling all of its grants effective immediately.
Arman Rahman has more on what this means for community work happening right here in Wisconsin.
When you think of humanities, you may think of a class or major from college, but public humanities organizations have been behind educational and cultural programs in every state in the country, but now that's all in jeopardy. That's because the Trump administration ordered the National Endowment for the Humanities to cut off funding to all of their state affiliates. That includes the Wisconsin Humanities Council. Executive Director Dina Wurtzel says last week she got an email from the acting chair of the NEH saying all of their federal funding they've relied on for the past 50 years has been terminated effective immediately.
Our organization is going to have to shut down. Federal support is 85% of our funding. We do raise private dollars, and we've been increasing those private dollars, but nevertheless, in order to reach every community in Wisconsin, every congressional district, every county, it takes federal support.
Wurtzel says some of the projects Wisconsin Humanities has been responsible for in the past 50 years include grants allowing 1,500 school kids every year to come to watch Civil War reenactments at the Forest Lawn Cemetery in Dane County and the Wisconsin Book Festival. The Madison Children's Museum also relies on NEH funding. I'll have more on what they will no longer be getting tonight at 5.
Armand, thank you. Madison officials will recount the ballots in the race for District 19's Alder. Incumbent John Uguer narrowly beat his opponent, Anthony Nino Amato, by just 9 votes. Nino Amato filed a petition with the clerk's office to have the votes in wards 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, and 96. Yesterday, the city's acting clerk, Michael Haas, ordered the recount for Thursday at 9 a.m. in the morning.
Well, 2 cars are missing after someone stole them from a used car shop in Middleton early Sunday morning.
Our Merrill Hubbard reports from Shep Motors and shows us what happened.
They toured around the building and found a window, busted it with a rock, reached in, opened it up.
Around 2 a.m. Sunday morning, 2 suspects broke into Shep Motors. Surveillance videos show them looking for keys and trying to get a Corvette C8 into gear before giving up. The owner says they broke into an office and stole 5 sets of keys. They then pull out of the dealership with a 2016 silver Corvette Z06 and 2023 black Dodge Hellcat. Later footage shows the suspects burning rubber and doing donuts on Tribeca Drive. They then drive off with the 2 cars around 4:30 a.m., about 2 hours after the break-in. The stolen silver Corvette and black Dodge Hellcat have put Shop Motors out of about $150,000. But the owner of the shop says he believes the cars are still in Dane County.
One of the cars stolen was actually paid for by a customer who was going to pick it up yesterday and actually fly in from out of state. So that hurts. I feel sorry for that customer.
Owner Doug Shep says they've boosted their security by adding pedal locks to the cars and locking the keys in a safe. The Middleton Police Department tells me they're still investigating this incident, and if anyone has any information about these suspects or the cars that were stolen, to contact Madison area Crime Stoppers. Reporting in Middleton, Meryl Hubbard, News 3 Now. And you can find photos of the 2 stolen cars on channel3000.com.
Coming up next on Live at 4, students across the country are seeing their visas terminated.
How many people at UW-Madison are affected and what a professor there is hearing from her international students.
In a divided vote, staff at the University of Wisconsin-Madison condemned the university's response to a pro-Palestinian encampment last year. At the end of the spring semester, members of Students for Justice in Palestine set up an encampment on Library Mall, joining students throughout the nation calling on their schools to divest from Israel. The protests violated UW rules that require the chancellor's approval for camping on university grounds. The chancellor eventually sent the police in, and they clashed with the protesters. In a vote yesterday, the Faculty Senate condemned what it calls police violence. It also called for the restoration of teams to provide oversight of student protests and UW's response to them.
In a statement, UW-Madison says it doesn't believe the protests are connected to the termination of several international students and alumni, the termination of their visas. In this announcement released yesterday, UW-Madison said 6 current students and 7 alumni on employment visa extensions had their visas terminated. Earlier today, I spoke with UW professor Sarah McKinnon, who works with international students, about how this happened. Well, Professor McKinnon, thank you for being with us today.
Thanks for inviting me.
The UW-Madison is one of just several schools throughout the country where the government has terminated these student and alumni visas. Do you have any idea why this is happening?
Yeah, I mean, it is not uncommon for students to receive revocations of their visas. This happens every once in a while when a student isn't not in compliance with their visa. What's different about this present moment is that across the United States, so many students have received this message so quickly. And so that, I think, is what makes this moment really exceptional. We know that these students are probably not in compliance in some way, but what that is very unclear at this point.
The university and Chancellor Mnuchin released a statement saying that the university doesn't believe the terminations had anything to do with recent protests, but said that the reasoning for this, as you were just saying, remains unclear. Do you have a gut feeling about what the reason for this is now?
I mean, I think what the reason is on paper may be different than what the reason is, the broader purpose of this. I think what we can probably say is that some of these students may have had brief brushes or run-ins with law enforcement at some point, which doesn't mean that they were arrested or convicted. It may be as simple as a traffic stop, running a red light, and then there being a citation. I think a lot of these instances are probably about that. But we're going to have to wait to see get more information, and it's probably going to be a case-by-case basis about what exactly put this student in non-compliance. But I think what I can say in general is the way non-compliance is being interpreted by this administration is different than past administrations, and so that makes this moment very different. In past administrations, if a student had, was driving and driving too fast or ran through a red light, that would not make them eligible for having their visa being revoked. This is, I think, the moment that we're seeing that's really different.
Well, is there anything international students can do, and is there anything that the university can do?
I mean, I can speak to what I'm seeing across the universities in the United States. Many universities are reaching out to their international students to say, we are here, contact International Student Services to get more specific resources. So many of these instances, it's really a case-by-case basis, and so it's really hard to provide broad brushstrokes information, except to tell students to reach out to the International Student Services, who are really going to be their first point of contact for information about their situation. If a student has a real concern, they may reach out to an immigration lawyer to help them with their case. Those are things that can be helpful. But I have to say, I see a heightened sense of worry and anxiety and fear amongst my international students. Students are asking, should I leave the country, leave, and if I have a concern about this, or maybe I shouldn't leave the U.S. this summer to go home because, I fear being able to come back. And so there's just a lot of concern right now, which you might imagine we're almost at the end of finals, the final semester period. And so it just raises that level of anxiety even more for our students. I think it's important to also recognize that there are 1.1 million international students in the United States today, which accounts for about $40 billion to the U.S. economy annually. It's a really sizable amount of money that impacts the economy. And so to create that amount of fear, I think there are definitely students that are questioning, maybe I should explore other opportunities. And that's really sad. This means putting a barrier or making it more challenging for students to continue their education, which I find is really unfortunate.
Well, it's a fluid situation, as you said, and we'll continue to follow it very closely. Professor Sarah McKinnon, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Good to talk to you. And one final note on this, UW-Madison is sending emails to its international students, reminding them of their rights. There are available resources on campus, and they're asking students to keep their immigration documents valid and updated. The end of the email reads in part, quote, "You are a valued member of our campus community, and we are committed to keeping you informed. We encourage you to bookmark the information provided in this message and seek resources as you need them."
Well, the IRS will work with the Department of Homeland Security as part of the president's deportation push. Court filings show the IRS will share information about undocumented immigrants the DHS says are already facing deportation orders or are under federal criminal investigations. And that includes the crime of failing to leave the country. Democrats and liberal groups say the deal is a breach of trust because IRS data is supposed to be confidential. The Justice Department says the arrangement is lawful because it includes guardrails. Immigrant rights groups filed a suit last month to block the IRS from sharing data with ICE. There is a hearing set for next week.
The Trump administration can keep thousands of federal probationary workers off the payroll while lower courts weigh in whether its downsizing attempts are legal. The U.S. Supreme Court made that announcement this morning, blocking a ruling from a lower court judge that required the government to reinstate more than 16,000 probationary employees. This isn't the final word on whether the employees will be able to keep their jobs, but it will have a significant impact on them and the agencies they work for.
The man charged with plotting to kill Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh will receive a sentence later this year. Earlier Earlier today, 29-year-old Nicholas Roski pleaded guilty to attempting to assassinate the justice in 2022. In June of that year, Roski went to Kavanaugh's home with a gun and a knife. He turned around when he saw security. He allegedly told investigators he was motivated by the High Court's draft decision overturning Roe v. Wade, as well as potential expansion of gun rights. He faces up to life in prison.
Let's get a check on the weather now. Sunny and cool this afternoon, but Alex, there's more April showers on the way.
Yeah, April showers bring May flowers. That's a good way of putting it, Susan. That's the optimistic part of Wednesday and Thursday, although it's going to be kind of that raw spring day with the rainy conditions, even some wet snow. But hey, here comes the sun by Friday afternoon, and I can promise you still that mild weather is still on the horizon. And here's some good stuff right now as part of our First One Weather Cam network. Beautiful scene on our Edgewater Skycam. Nice day. Deceptively sunny because it is a bit on the cool side out there. As we plan our evening here, clouds will eventually fill on in. Temperatures will fall into the 30s, and then they'll stay in the 30s tonight because the clouds help to hold in some of that heat that tries to escape to space. And then all of our attention turns to Wednesday, going into Thursday with scattered showers and that wet snow possibility. How does that all pan out? Here comes the showers by the time we get late Wednesday morning. Look how widespread everything is as we go towards the lunch hour. So have the umbrella handy. As we go into Wednesday afternoon and evening, I'll sneak behind over here. Some of the air gets cool enough to mix with and change over to some wet snow. We're expecting slushy snow accumulations. We're not expecting heavy snow accumulations. Again, the grass is starting to come up. The ground is starting to warm up. So that helps to limit that accumulation, and on and off rain and scattered snow showers through Thursday morning, and a couple more showers sneaking by here as we go into Thursday afternoon, and then the weather system departs. Now we need the water, so we've got plenty of water on the way for a good portion of southern Wisconsin. Anywhere between 1/4 and 1/2 inch, might squeeze out 3/4 of an inch of water, which certainly again will be helpful. In terms of snowfall amounts, this is just updated here. This is a bit on the aggressive side here. I don't think we're going to be having 4, 5, 6 inches of snow. We'll take another look at our weather models here. I think maybe a slushy inch or 2 at most across southern Wisconsin. We're not expecting adverse travel conditions. Temperatures tonight will do 31 in Madison, a little bit warmer to the west. Clouds fill in sooner, temperatures stay warmer, lower 30s to the east because the clouds come in a little bit later. Then the temperatures as we go into Wednesday, I got to think of my days of the week here. Wednesday, mid-40s again. So when you see those snow totals that we saw before, with temperatures well into the 40s, that snowfall potential at what you just saw is not likely going to be the likely outcome there. This weather system is out of here late Thursday. Sun pokes out on Friday. 60s this weekend. Cold front Sunday going on into Monday. That brings us a chance of a shower or perhaps a thunderstorm, and then temperatures staying in the 50s for next week as it looks like right now. It is Severe Weather Awareness Week. Check out my personal Facebook. I'm imparting severe weather knowledge that's also on Channel 3000's Facebook page. But what forms of severe weather do we get in southern Wisconsin? We're no stranger to any of these. When I say there's a tornado warning, you need to seek your sturdy shelter immediately. If there's large hail or damaging winds as part of severe thunderstorm warnings, you need to move indoors and do the exact same because severe thunderstorms can and occasionally do produce tornadoes. When we have heavy flash flooding rains, if there's water over the road, there's a saying, turn around, don't drown. You don't know if that water has washed out the road underneath that water. And lightning, there's another saying, when thunder roars, stay indoors. If you see lightning or thunder, you need to move indoors as quickly as possible. And believe it or not, a thunderstorm could be 30 miles away and still cause a lightning strike in your neighborhood. So you got to take that very seriously as part of Severe Weather Awareness Week. More tips to share throughout the rest of the week.
Yeah, good advice. Every second counts, and being prepared helps a lot. All right, thanks, Alex. Well, still ahead, it is the Day of the Badger.
When we come back, Josh Breiter shows us how you can give back to the UW when Live at 4 returns.
In the 608, it's the Day of the Badger, and this is a time for you to pay it forward.
Josh Breiter is on the UW-Madison campus with what this means for you at home.
Now is your time to be part of the Day of the Badger at UW-Madison. Plenty of time for you to make a difference. And here to break down a little bit more about what this all means for you at home is Betsy Popelka-Masnick of the Wisconsin Foundation and Alumni Association. Betsy, good to see you.
Good to see you, Josh.
So what is the Day of the Badger all about?
So it is a giving day, so you can go online at dayofthebadger.org and find something you care about to support at the university.
And there's going to be things you're going to see all over, including right here at Alumni Park, where they are busy getting these big red balloons all blown up for us.
Yes, it's a day of celebration, celebrating the impact of giving and all the ways we can support the university.
So why is it so important to, support these missions of UW-Madison?
Yeah, these critical funds help address the university's greatest needs, and so you can really find anything you care about here to support at the university.
And there really is no too little of a donation when it comes to this event.
That's right. Yeah, last year we saw over 7,000 gifts, and that raised over $1.7 million. So every gift really comes together to make a big impact for the university.
And especially with how many years you've been doing this as well, year after year, this continues to get bigger.
That's right. Yeah, this is our 6th Day of the Badger, and we're hoping to grow it even more this year.
So this is also a 2-day event, so there's plenty of time to be able to give back.
That's right. You can make a gift at dayofthebadger.org up until 5 p.m. tomorrow.
What is your goal here long term? Like, why is this so important for, Badger Nation here in Madison?
Yeah, it's just so great to be able to support the university that impacts our community in such positive ways, whether research breakthroughs or really amazing programs that impact our community. There are just so many things that the university does that we can help support through our gifts.
So now's the time to make that impact. Again, if people need to know what to do to be able to make a difference, how can they do so?
Yes, go to dayofthebadger.org today.
All right, Betsy, thank you so much.
Thank
Appreciate your
you.
time. Again, UW-Madison right here. This is the time to make a difference, and we're talking the Day of the Badger. Everything you need to know up on channel3000.com. Here's your chance to make a difference. In Madison, I'm Josh Breiter, News 3 Now.
Thank you, Betsy and Josh, and it's good to know you have another all-day tomorrow, too.
Yep, plenty of time.
Well, coming up on Live at 4, why Meritor nurses are rallying today.
Plus, whether the internet is working again at Madison Public Schools.
You're watching News 3 Now, live at 4, moving forward.
And on this Day of the Badger, let's give a shout out to the most famous Badger, Bucky the Badger, up on Bascom Hill.
That's a great shot. Look at how green that grass is.
Little by little.
Bucky's going to get a drink tomorrow because a wet Wednesday is ahead, but beautiful on the patio this afternoon, Alex.
Yes, gorgeous out here in the patio. Birds are chirping on our Wild Birds Unlimited feeders out here. They're having a good time. They're going to get wet tomorrow, too. And I think Bucky Badger, I don't think there's an umbrella big enough for Bucky tomorrow as we go Wednesday into Thursday. Wet weather, some mix of rain and wet snow. Good news is the sun peaks out later Friday, and we got a mild weekend still on shore in southern Wisconsin. Overnight temperatures tonight will eventually dip on down into the 30s, and that's warmer than last night because clouds will be filling in out ahead of this wet weather maker with highs in the 40s. That's below normal, kind of a raw spring day tomorrow, but we'll take the raindrops because, again, some parts of southern Wisconsin are still dealing with drought conditions. 42 at the airport right now, 47 to the northwest on 39 in Black River Falls, and 43 to the southeast on the highway in Janesville. We got 46 in the west part of Dane County, 41, 42 in the east part of Dane County, which is below normal, but once again, we got this glorious sunshine right here behind me. I looked at it, and now I can't see my graphic because I stared into the sun. Temperatures will get down into the 30s overnight tonight as those clouds fill on in with that weather system. And in Maine weather, I'm going to use Future Track to take us through Wednesday and Thursday's wet weather maker.
All right, Alex, thank you. Happening right now, nurses at Meritor are holding what they're calling a strike-ready rally to demand improved safety and security practices.
That event started at 1 p.m. today, and Ellie La Liberté is live at Brittingham Park right now. So, Ellie, what are you hearing from people?
Yeah, Brady and Susan, well, the message of today is best said in the signs behind me. So I'll take a step out of the way so you can see those. But they say safe staffing saves lives. Now, there are dozens of Meritor nurses, SEIU Wisconsin union officials, and other community leaders here to bring that message to the hospital as contract negotiations are ongoing. The three main priorities are getting nurse-to-patient ratios down, improving environmental safety, and increasing pay. The contract expired on March 16th. But SEIU Wisconsin is going back to the negotiating table tomorrow. Nurse and SEIU Wisconsin President Pat Reyes says nurses are ready to strike if they can't reach an agreement with the hospital.
We have to do something to make sure that we're protected. In my 36 years as a nurse, I have been attacked. We have to find ways to make that work environment better so people will come back to the hospital. Otherwise, when you're sick, you're not going to have the availability of nurses.
In a statement to News 3 Now, Meriter Hospital says, quote, "We have deep respect and gratitude for our nursing staff and recognize that healthcare roles are facing increased challenges. We are committed to working with SEIU Wisconsin to address their concerns through a fair contract that both parties can support." Now, according to Raise, nurses do have to give a 10-day notice to the hospital before they can go on strike. That allows the hospital to find replacement staff so no patients go without care. Meriter says currently they have not received that notice. Reporting live at Brittingham Park in Madison, Ellie Liberté, News 3 Now.
Thank you, Ellie. Well, President Trump will impose at least a 104% tariff on all Chinese goods tomorrow. It comes after the deadline passed for the country to back off its retaliatory tariffs. Earlier today, China's Commerce Ministry said it firmly opposes the additional tariffs on Chinese imports, calling it a mistake upon a mistake. The ministry has vowed to escalate its retaliation on U.S. exports. And U.S. stocks dropped in a second day of reversals. After starting the morning on a positive note, Wall Street erased its gains. The Dow lost 320 points, the Nasdaq dropped 335, and the S&P 500 is down 79. Well, 2 people are dead after a crash in Portland Sunday night. The Monroe County Sheriff says the crash happened on State Highway 33 near County Highway X. 2 people were on a motorcycle when it lost control going around a curve. The driver was thrown from the bike, which crashed into a car. Both the motorcycle driver and the passenger died at the scene. This crash remains under investigation.
There are 2 new tools in Dane County to help fight the opioid epidemic. The county has teamed up with SSM Health, UW Health, and UW Madison to increase access to naloxone. That's an overdose reversing drug, also known as Narcan. These are now vending machines that are outside of UW Health Hospital's emergency department on Highland Avenue. The other is outside of SSM Health at St. Mary's Hospital at the corner of South Park and Aaron Streets. The machines include naloxone, fentanyl test strips, xylazine test strips, menstrual kits, and other harm reduction materials, and all of it is free.
The Madison Metropolitan School District saw an internet outage across the entire district all of Monday and part of the school day today.
Our Jalen Banks caught up with Madison Teachers Incorporated about how this outage impacted their jobs.
The Madison Metropolitan School District battled an internet outage Monday and Tuesday. And speaking to one local teachers union, the timing was less than ideal. The internet has become an integral part of our everyday lives, and that became even more evident when MMSD had an internet outage throughout the entirety of the district. Speaking to Madison Teachers Incorporated, it was particularly harmful for one group.
Our elementary teachers, we have parent-teacher conferences coming up Thursday night and Friday, and they were supposed to have half of the day yesterday to do that work, to figure out everything so they have everything prepared for the kids and the parents, and all that time was gone.
Tonight at 6, we'll have more from Madison Teachers Incorporated, but for now, reporting in the newsroom, Jalen Banks, News 3 Now.
Thank you, Jalen. And the good news, the internet was back up and running throughout the district around noon today.
What would we do without it?
Honestly, we're so dependent on it.
Well, coming up on Live at 4, if you're trying to lose weight, a new study weighs in on a big debate.
Is it better to count calories or to do intermittent fasting? Dr. Jeff Potoff has the results when we come back.
Well, do you need another reason to prioritize your sleep? Well, it could be connected to Alzheimer's risk.
Also, here's a question. Which is a better way to lose weight? Counting calories or doing that intermittent fasting that you've probably read about? A new study reveals the answer. Lots to talk about today with UW Health's Dr. Jeff Potoff. Hi, Dr. Potoff.
Hey guys. Hi.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Let's talk first about this study connecting sleep, deep sleep, and your risk of Alzheimer's disease. What's that about?
Like you mentioned, there's more and more reasons for why we need to get good sleep, even though it's often difficult to do. In this study, they looked at not only like duration of sleep. I think all of us know 7 to 8 hours is what we're supposed to get, but they looked at quality of sleep as measured by deeper sleep. So slow wave sleep and then REM sleep, that rapid eye movement sleep. And then they compared individuals who got good REM sleep, deep or slow wave sleep, to those that didn't. And what they saw were actual physical changes in part of the brain that tends to get smaller or got smaller in these individuals with poorer quality sleep, that it can be related to the development of Alzheimer's later in life. So another study, and this one's somewhat small, that suggests, sleep plays a really important part, not only in physical health, but also this mental health, Alzheimer's disease. So as hard as it is to get good sleep, there's a lot of reasons to try to get there.
Well, and I mean, people have stresses in their lives. We have blue light technology. People are night owls. Maybe they're on a grief journey. We've talked a lot about. We struggle sleeping because of our losses. So what's a person to do?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of this sleep hygiene, which is a good first step. So, you want to avoid caffeine or stimulants anytime you're getting close to bed. You want to avoid that blue light, or in general, like bright lights in general tell your brain that it's time to be awake. So you want to dim those lights, not be looking at phones or screens or tablets. Cool environments, dark environments help. Some people will be like, hey, maybe I should just get sleeping pills, and they will put you to sleep, but there's studies that say that long-term those aren't good. People are like, well, I'm just going to have a shot of whiskey. That sounds great, but your sleep quality actually gets affected by that too. So there aren't always easy answers. The easy answer is how do we remove all that stress from our lives? I don't think anyone's got a great answer for that.
That's very interesting. Okay, another very interesting study that just came out, and I've actually wondered this myself. Is it better to count calories or to do intermittent fasting? First of all, what does that mean?
Yeah, intermittent fasting means that you take a period of time where you significantly reduce calorie intake, either you don't eat or you reduce it by 80%. So in this study, and it's small, just over 100 people, they took half of them and they said, you know what, you guys, and they were all either overweight or morbidly obese, they said, you're going to restrict your calories and count them every single day. So you're going to calorie count, you're going to have a lower number, and we encourage you to exercise. That was one group. They took another group and they said, okay, 4 days a week, you do whatever you want. Don't count your calories. But 3 days a week, severe calorie restriction, 80%. When you do have your 4 days of whatever, make healthy choices. They told them that, and you should exercise. And then they let them do their thing, and they brought them together, and not by a large margin, but the fasting group, the intermittent fasting, actually won out, about 2.5% more weight loss than those that were counting calories.
They followed them for a year, for a full year.
Right.
And so that's the 4-3 method. But when you say severe calorie restriction, what are you talking about for men and women?
Yeah, so let's say you're going to eat 2,000 calories a day. That's your goal. You reduce that by 80% for the days that you're fasting. So pretty severe calorie restriction.
500, 600 for a woman?
Yeah, whatever 20% of 2,000 is. If we do that math, that would be about what it is. Typically about a meal a day, maybe, and a light meal. And then the other 4 days a week, you eat whatever. And then they also made sure you don't fast more than 1 day. You don't fast, all 3 days for your week in a row. You just do that once, not consecutive days. The other days you do what you want.
Interesting.
And on the flip side, for some people who have disordered eating, of course, you don't want to overdo this.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I think, when you boil this all down, it's just simple math. It's you have to have less calories in than what you're expending through your normal metabolism or your exercise, and that's how you lose weight. I think, and the researchers thought this too in the study, it might just be easier to have that hard restriction, 3 times a week, than to every day have to always be counting your calories. I think sooner or later you're like, forget it, I'm just going to have those
That's
snacks.
the problem, right.
Thank you very much.
Very interesting. Good to see you. Thanks, Dr. Pato.
Well, later on Live at 4, it may be the off season for the Green Bay Packers, but they're keeping busy.
Yep, some players are actually traveling to Madison tomorrow to meet the fans. We'll tell you how you can be one of them when we come back.
We have a breaking update to the story we brought you earlier in the show about the death of a 14-year-old girl in Evansville this weekend.
2 of the 3 people police said they arrested in connection to her death are now formally charged, however, not with her death. Hunter Dreyfall and Alyssa Aarons are charged with second-degree assault of a child, child exploitation, and possession of child sexual abuse material. According to a criminal complaint, the victim was staying at Dreyfall's house for about a week. At some point, an argument ensued about selling sexual videos the pair made with the girl. Conflicting stories have been given about what happened next. Our Maddie Heimch will have much more on this story later on News 3 Now.
And let's get another look of our first warn forecast with Chief Meteorologist Alex Harrington. Hey, Alex.
Hey, Brady. Southern Wisconsin, get ready for a wet and rainy and snowy Wednesday going into Thursday. Sunny skies return by Friday, and that mild stuff still in the cards, still in the forecast as we head into the weekend. Let's get right at tracking that weather event. Here comes the showers, 8, 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. Widespread across southern Wisconsin at the lunch hour. You'll need the umbrella. But rain mixes with and changes over to some wet snow at times as we go into Wednesday night. We'll have to keep an eye on this. Right now, thinking maybe a slushy snow event on grassy surfaces, and this would be primarily Madison and areas east. But that track could shift, of course, over the course of the next 24 hours. And then on and off rain and snow showers during the night going into Thursday morning, and those meandering showers continuing as we go into the Thursday time frame. And overall water amounts pretty good, 1/4 to 1/2 inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch in some spots. We'll take those drops. April showers bring those May flowers and that snowfall potential again. I think this is a little bit more realistic, a slushy inch or two, and this could set up really anywhere over southern Wisconsin where we see that rain mix with and briefly change over to some wet snow. Now, speaking of snow, anybody remember April 8th through the 10th, 1973? 12.9 inches of snow at the Madison airport. And this was a big snowstorm in Wisconsin. It actually impacted my aunt's wedding preparations as well. And thank you, Jim, for reminding me about that big snowstorm. Not expecting that with this weather event. How about tonight? Let's plan the evening here. Sunny skies, that was the silver lining today. A bit on the cool side. Temperatures in the 40s. But watch the clouds start to fill in by the time we get to the 10 o'clock newscast and beyond, as that weather system gets closer to southern Wisconsin, bringing us the rain and mix of wet snow lasting into Thursday. Friday, not too bad. That's about where we should be at 53. Then here come the 60s as we go into Saturday, going on into Sunday, and perhaps on into Monday as well. Watching a cold front during that time frame, Sunday going on into Monday, depending on when it comes through. Monday could be a little bit cooler if that front comes through a little bit sooner. Then those temperatures are going to stay well into the 50s as it looks like right now before the next weather event starts to eye up southern Wisconsin later Thursday and Friday of next week. Don't go away. Live at 4 continues in just a couple moments.
And here's a live look at Lambeau Field in Green Bay, home of a little team you might know called the Green Bay Packers. 37 degrees and a little cloudy there.
Hopefully it'll warm up a little bit before the draft, which is coming up very soon.
Yeah, get your blankets just in case. Well, fans of the green and gold have a chance to meet some current and former players in person.
Yep, the Green Bay Packers tailgate tour will make a stop in Madison tomorrow night. It's happening from 6 to 9 p.m. Wednesday at Garver Feed Mill. Packer President and CEO Mark Murphy says it's a chance for the players to visit with the fans and to thank them for their support.
I think it'll be a 3-day commercial, not just for Green Bay, for the entire state. And so many different things that are unique and special to Wisconsin. You'll see that as a part of it.
The tour includes current team members, running back Josh Jacobs, tight end Tucker Kraft, and defensive end Lucas Van Ness. And alumni players Amon Green, Jermichael Finley, and John Michaels are also joining the tour.
That sounds pretty fun. And the doors open tomorrow at 5 p.m. Tickets are $75. Should we go?
Yeah, I think it would be great.
Yeah,
Get a chance to meet some Packers.
If you don't see us here tomorrow, that's where we're at.
We're the same time.
Yeah, perfect. I'm ready. All right, we'll be right back.
Tomorrow on Live at 4, we'll talk about where Governor Evers' budget stands months after he proposed it. And later tonight on News 3 Now at 6, the parents of a victim of gun violence speak out hours after the sheriff's office announces arrests. That's coming up at 6. Thanks for watching Live at 4 today, everybody. We hope to see you back here tomorrow. News 3 Now at 5 starts right now.